Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today we're going to be talking about the M416 and we're also going to be covering some weapon stats, weapon attachments in general. This is pretty much the first time I've had some real information on weapon stats. I've played the game enough to know what I'm talking about now, and we can actually start getting into the mechanics of gunplay in BF4. Now, why am I talking about the M416? Can I possibly make a statement as bold as to say it's the best gun in the game? It's a little too early to make a claim like that, but I can say for certain that this is going to be an extremely important weapon in Battlefield 4 for multiple reasons. The first one being that it's one of the first guns you get with a decent rate of fire that is going to absolutely be able to wreck people. It's also got one of the most competitive reloads in the game, and it's a pretty easy to use weapon. In fact, the reload speed is part of what makes this gun so easy to use. If you don't have to worry about timing your reloads too much, then you basically run into less situations where you get caught mid-reload. It's actually got the third fastest reload in the game for any primary weapon, only being beat out by the M16A4 and the ACWR by fractions of a second. The recoil control of this weapon is relatively easy, and if you can muscle your way through about 30 kills, you will get the ergo grip and make it even easier to control. One thing that's great about the weapon unlocks in Battlefield 4 is that the very first one is the red dot sight. So you can get rid of your iron sights, move up to a nice red dot sight, then you get a laser sight which gives you better hip fire, and then the third unlock is a nice ergo grip to help you with some of that recoil control. If you really like a gun and you continue to play with it, 70 kills will get you the angled foregrip, which again helps with recoil mitigation greatly, and I would highly recommend using the angled foregrip with this weapon. It's what I was pretty much using most of the time. In addition to that, you can throw a muzzle brake on there if you're having trouble controlling that vertical recoil, and it will help bring that gun recoil down, and you can just laser beam people with this weapon. It's great for getting into a gun if you're having trouble controlling the recoil, and it just gives you options. You know, I ended up using the muzzle brake for most of the time I was playing with this weapon till I ended up getting more comfortable with the recoil, and I switched up to a suppressor so I could run around with a stealth weapon so I wasn't popping up on the mini-map. But you get a lot of attachment options in here. I would recommend starting out that at 40 kills you equip the muzzle brake, at 70 kills you add the angled foregrip on there. You're going to have a gun that's very, very easy to aim and control the recoil. If you'd like to check out weapon stats on your own, Synthic.com has a plethora of information on the guns in Battlefield 4. They've got charts, they've got all the stats up there. It's where I get my information. It's such a great resource. You do have to look at charts though. Now if you're not interested in charts, I will be explaining basically the functionality of all the guns in Battlefield 4. Of course, it's going to take me a while to get through all of them, so if you can't wait, I'd recommend checking out the site. And upon initial inspection, a lot of things have changed from BF3 to BF4 stat-wise, but a lot of things have also remained the same. One thing that has remained the same from BF3 to BF4 is that the assault class, which has access to assault rifles, have the most accurate, highest damaging full automatic weapons in the game. So without question, when people decide what the best gun in the game is, or what one of the best guns in the game is, it's going to be an assault rifle. They just do massive damage at range, have great rates of fire, great accuracy, great reload times. Without question, the assault class still has access to some of the best guns in the game. This doesn't mean that carbines are not good guns. They're incredible guns. In fact, just because assault rifles are so good doesn't mean that they're somehow going to dominate the battlefield. In fact, the recon class has gotten a huge upgrades. Machine guns are great now. So just because I still think assault rifles are the best guns in Battlefield 4 does not mean that they're going to dominate all aspects of gameplay. But let's get back to the M416. If you're familiar with my Battlefield 3 weapon reviews and weapon videos, you'll know that one of the top features I look for in any sort of gun is versatility. Now, it's always fun to play with a weapon that's great for one specific thing, like a shotgun for close quarter engagements, PDW for close quarters, machine guns for just laying down endless fire. But having a gun that's versatile, adaptable to any situation is incredibly important for doing well. It means that you can engage targets at range, close quarters, and pretty much have a good option in any scenario. And without question, the M416 fits that profile. Its decent rate of fire at 750 rounds per minute allows you to dish out enough damage to drop anybody in close quarters in no time at all, but it also doesn't overpower your recoil management, so you can still maintain accuracy at range. This makes it a perfect mid-range weapon, a gun that you can still hit targets at long range, and a gun that you can still drop people with decent speed in close quarters. Now if you run into an entire squad of guys in close quarters, you spray take out 2 or 3 of them and you need to reload quickly to engage the rest of them, you're going to be able to do that with the 1.85 second reload, which is just stupidly fast. Now a lot of other weapons are probably going to force you to switch to your sidearm, and even if you are an excellent player, going pistol versus assault rifle or machine gun or whatever they've got as their primary weapons, still going to put you at a huge disadvantage. You're going to need to have the drop on them, and chances are they're going to know where you are after your first engagement. So having a gun that can reload incredibly fast and re-engage with your primary weapon is again going to increase your survivability and your chances of winning any sort of firefight. Now understanding recoil control is a very important part of doing well in Battlefield 4. It's sort of a more advanced technique, is controlling your gun's recoil, but once you can get it down to an art, you can just be stupidly accurate with any full auto weapon. Now the recoil on this weapon is on the third box over here. This is a chart from Synthic.com, and you'll see that it's got a 0.1 pull to the left and a 0.3 pull to the right. This basically means that the gun is going to pull a bit more to the right when I'm firing full auto, so when you get used to that, you can drag in one particular direction better to compensate for that recoil. One thing you'll see on a lot of weapons is an equal pull on left and right, and sometimes that's a strong pull on left and right. And what this does is creates a lot of horizontal recoil, which is very unpredictable and hard to control. People think it's actually better to have equal pull on left and right. Personally, I prefer a stronger pull on one of the sides, as it allows me to compensate for it better. The first shot multiplier is something I talk about a lot also. That's that little 2.2x, and that just means that the first shot you fire is going to have 2.2 times more recoil than any other shot. So it's going to actually pull to the right a lot stronger on my first shot. It's going to pull up a lot stronger on my first shot. And what really helps compensate that is the angled foregrip. So your very first shot is not going to jerk the gun up quite as much, and you're not going to need to compensate for anywhere near as much recoil. The angled foregrip is going to be a very popular attachment. I don't think it's going to be the attachment, but it's going to work really well on a lot of weapons, and I'm still messing around with a lot of things, but I can tell you I like it a lot. One thing I will say though is that I'm not a very big fan of the heavy barrel currently. It's going to be good on some guns, I'm sure, but on most of the weapons I find myself shying away for it and going for something like a muzzle brake, just because they add such amazing ability to control the recoil of your weapon that I think the benefits of the recoil control versus the accuracy you get with a heavy barrel just seem to outweigh it. Either way, the M416 is a great weapon to start with and start ranking up, especially if you're trying to unlock all the attachments for your assault class. You cannot go wrong with this weapon. It's going to be a popular gun throughout the entire legacy of Battlefield 4. My current favorite way to run this weapon is the Cobra sight, the tack light, an angled foregrip, and the suppressor. It's going to give you a great gun for 90% of the situations you run into in this game. So as always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.